Second phase of Moderna and Pfizer vaccination begins next week.
President Akufo-Addo launches Operation Clean Your Frontage campaign, a call for changing attitude.
Interdicted senior police officer ACP Benjamin Agojoyi sues IGP and the Attorney General to have his interdiction revoked.
Police officers who sustained accident injuries on the Wale Bolga Highway airlifted to Accra for further treatment. One remains in coma.
And hundreds of school children stormed Parliament in the Democratic Republic of Congo, demanding higher salaries for their teachers.
Good evening and welcome to the news. My name is Jonathan Thompson.
My name is Samuela Kwote.
And now we begin with the health segment. And the health segment is sponsored by Lufat, Tobinco's premium gift to Africa. The details. The second phase of the Moderna and Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine is expected to run from the 26th of October to the 1st of November 2021 across the country. This phase of the COVID-19 vaccine rollout is for the general public. From the end of November, Ghana will also receive additional 3.5 million Pfizer doses and 1.2 million doses of Moderna in the next couple of weeks. Health experts say the possible fourth wave of the coronavirus can only be slowed down with vaccines and adherence to existing COVID-19 protocols.
19 vaccines started in phases and segmented among the population in March 2021. The initial rollout phase targeted persons who are at most risk, and this has been completed. Currently, over 2 million Ghanaians have received at least one dose of COVID-19 vaccines. To ensure herd immunity, the Ghana Health Service has to date distributed over 4 million vaccines to all regions in the country. The Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaje, said all must be vaccinated as a possible fourth wave can only be slowed down through vaccination and adhering to all other safety protocols.
About 98% of those who were hospitalized had not been vaccinated. And all but 2 of the people who unfortunately died had not been vaccinated. So that tells you the importance and the power of the vaccination.
The country representative of the World Health Organization, WHO, Dr. Francis Kasolo, says though there is some form of hesitancy with the vaccine, it is still the only way to save lives. The program's manager for the expanded program on immunization, Dr. Kwame Posachianu, said 7.3 million doses of the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines are expected to be distributed during the phase 2 rollout of the vaccine. He said of all the vaccines, a little over 800,000 Ghanaians have received 2 doses.
In fact, some of the regions have already received theirs. Ashanti, for example, has received theirs, and the track is still on its way to the upper regions. The fourth wave is real. The best time to give vaccines is when the disease is low.
In the next 3 weeks, all regions will have Moderna and Pfizer vaccines to be administered. All aged 18 and above, including nursing mothers, are eligible for the second phase of the vaccine rollout, which starts next week. For GBC News, Mavis Ofe-Champong.
We're still on health. A health facility inaugurated at New Fadama in the Okankwe South constituency in 2020 is yet to formally open its doors to the general public. The people in the neighborhood say the deserted facility has a couple of wards, a laboratory, a pharmacy, and OPD, among others. Our citizen journalism slot tonight puts the empty facility in focus.
It was part of his agenda to provide quality health delivery for the people in his constituency. Member of Parliament for Okankwe Central Constituency, Mr. Patrick Boama, partnered with Ecom Ghana Limited to construct a health facility for residents of New Fadama and its environs. The facility was constructed to honor Chief Imam who resides in this area. The facility, which was worth $200,000, consists of 2 wards, a laboratory, a pharmacy, an OPD unit, among others. Unfortunately, this has been left vacant after it was inaugurated last year by the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Kufuor, and this is of concern to residents. According to residents of the community, the health facility is a good initiative by the MP, but are wondering why it remains closed and not in use.
They inaugurated it before the elections, but after election, nothing. They've done it, they've finished it, they are not opening it for people to use.
They came to open the place up last year before the elections, but now it is not in operation. We don't know why.
They are calling on the authorities to open it to begin operating for all.
We are begging on behalf so that we people should try as much as possible and help us. We need your help.
And that's for the health segment, which was brought to you by Lufat, Tobinco's premium gift to Africa. Now let's move to other stories. Now, the Minority Caucus in Parliament has revealed that the Ministry of Finance is heavily owing the District Assembly's Common Fund to the tune of about 2 million cedis. They say this has made the District Assembly's Common Fund unable to release funds due the Metropolitan, Municipal and District Assemblies (MMDAs) for a whole year for their operations. Hence, the minority members on the Parliamentary Committee on Local Government and Rural Development are asking government to promptly determine the monies due the District Assembly's Common Fund and release same to the fund, or else they will take legal action.
The DSCF were under-provided for and owed to the fund for 2017 and 2018. The debts were partly settled in 2020 with monies borrowed during the COVID-19 intervention period. I have the document here. In June 2019, the Supreme Court, in the case of Benjamin Kpodo and Richard Kwashiga versus Attorney General, ruled that as a constitutional creation, the DACF could not be capped, and that the receipts from petroleum sources should be included in the total revenues when computing funds due to the DACF. But the Ministry of Finance is refusing to properly comply with the directives of the Apex Court. The Ministry of Finance is very heavily indebted to the DACF. The amount has run to about 2 billion Ghana cedis plus, and it's made up as follows. In 2019, the amount owed is 700 million Ghana cedis. In 2020, the Ministry of Finance is owing the Common Fund 587 million plus. And 2021, where nothing has been paid, the estimates for first and second quarter only, the amount they are owing is 884 million Ghana cedis. The consequence of all this is that the DACF is unable to release funds to the metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies for one complete year of their operations. We are calling on the government to change its way of determining when the money is due. That is, to determine the monies due to the DACF within a maximum of 1 month after the end of each quarter, and accordingly release same to the DACF. If the government does not heed our calls, we are serving notice that we will head to court again.
Assistant Commissioner of Police Dr. Benjamin Agojo, the senior police officer who has been interdicted for his alleged involvement in a coup plot, has sued the Inspector General of Police. ACP Dr. Agojo was interdicted in November 19, 2019, and all efforts to have the interdiction revoked have yielded no result. Joined to the suit is the Attorney General.
According to ACP Dr. Benjamin Agojo, the refusal of the IGP as per a letter dated May 27, 2020 to accede to the demand made on him by his lawyers on April 23, 2020 to revoke the order of interdiction imposed on ACP Dr. Agozo in 2019 is unlawful. In his affidavit in support of the motion, the applicant said his continued interdiction is in breach of his rights to administrative justice and due process. According to the senior police officer on November 8, 2019, the Inspector General of Police, in the lawful exercise of powers granted him under Regulation 1051 of the Police Service Regulations 2012 C176, imposed on him, Dr. Agojo, an interdiction order which took immediate effect from the 8th day of November 2019. He said he was relieved of all duties as a police officer and his salary reduced by 25%. The affidavit stated that after 5 months of interdiction, he, the applicant, was advised by his lawyers that the interdiction was unlawful because the IGP was under an obligation to revoke the interdiction after 3 months if disciplinary proceedings were not instituted against him. In court on Friday, October 22, when the case was called, the respondents in the case, the IGP and the AG, were absent. Lawyer for the applicant, Mr. Martin Pebu, furnished the court with 7 authorities he intended to rely on to prove his case. The court, presided over by Justice Olivia Obeng Owusu, adjourned the case to November 22 while ordering the applicant to ensure that hearing notice is served on the respondents.
Now, the 2 police officers who lost their lives in a car accident in the Waliwali-Bogotanga Highway have been flown home after a short ceremony at the Tamale Air Force Base.
The 2 were among 5 police officers whose vehicles somersaulted on the way to attend a distress call along the Waliwali-Bogotanga Highway. The ceremony was witnessed by the IGP, George Ekufu Dampari, the Northern Regional Police Commander, COP Timothy Yosa Bonga, and other police personnel. Three other officers were injured in the accident were earlier flown to Accra for medical attention. Northern Regional Crime Officer Superintendent Baba Anyanga said 2 of the 3 surviving officers are in stable condition, whilst the 3rd officer remains in coma. The officers were recently deployed from Accra to support their colleagues in the northern and the northeast region to fight highway robbery.
21 journalists from 5 West Africa countries received various awards for producing impacting stories in the continent at this year's West African Media Excellence Conference and Awards event. Over 700 entries were received towards this year's event.
Each year, the West Africa Media Excellence Conference and Awards bring individuals from different parts of the West African sub-region to discuss issues pertaining to the work of journalists and legislations that affect the work of the media. The conference is usually crowned with an award ceremony to appreciate journalists who are impacting societies through their reportage. This year, the discussion centered on misinformation and how that is affecting media legislations. The Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Mr. Suleiman Abrahima, said it is important for journalists to find a balance between ethics and exposing wrongdoings.
The question is, how do we deal with the challenge of misinformation and also manage content online and offline without compromising the constitutionally guaranteed right to free expression? And how do we also bolster confidence and credibility of media platforms without suppressing press freedom and freedom of expression? These are basically the salient questions that WAMECA 2021 will seek to address.
A media defense lawyer, Mr. Femi Falana, challenged journalists in West Africa to compel ECOWAS to protect the people at all times. The Minister for Information, Mr. Kutokon Nkrumah, asked journalists to pay attention to the fundamentals of the profession.
If we do not allow competition and the desire to break the news first to rule us all the time, we will be able to regain a high level of trust in our profession.
The program's manager for West Africa Media Excellence Conference and Awards, Mrs. Abigail Labiode, said Wamika will continue to appreciate the work of journalists to motivate them to do more.
We are looking at categories like the business reporting, we are looking at health, and we all know what COVID-19 did to the world. And so for journalists who break the odds despite all the COVID challenges to produce some compelling stories, we also have a special category on COVID-19 report.
Now, moving on, a Ghanaian teacher has been selected as one of 10 top finalists for the Global Teacher Prize 2021. Mr. Evans Odey, a mathematics tutor at Achimota Senior High School, is the first Ghanaian and African to make it this far. The Global Teacher Prize is an initiative recognizing and awarding a teacher who has made an outstanding contribution to the teaching profession.
Many say it is complex to assess the performance of a teacher. However, there is a clear appreciation of the dimensions of effective teaching. And so, it is necessary to thank a teacher, especially one who has been innovative and an inspiration. The Global Teacher Prize was set up to recognize one exceptional teacher who has made an outstanding contribution to the teaching profession, as well as put a spotlight on the role teachers play in the society. Till date, no Ghanaian or African teacher has made it to the top 10, but this year the story is different. Mr. Evans Odey, a mathematics tutor at Achimota Senior High School, has made it to this enviable position. Mr. Odey, who has taught for 21 years with the Ghana Education Service, explained how he made it to the top 10.
Every year, NTC, that's National Teaching Council, will select their best teachers in the country and award them. And when you fall into the top 15 criteria, they give you the opportunity to apply for the Global Teacher Prize.
Mr. Odey shared with GBC News some of his initiatives as a teacher.
So I have videos, I have pictures, and I have software that are animate diagrams just to make mathematics fun and real. I also do video lessons, self-recording video lessons. I put them on YouTube. I've created Google Classroom that I train students, I teach students, especially when they're on vacations, they can learn free of charge.
This year's Global Teacher Prize will be virtual and comes off on the 10th of November due to COVID-19. Mr. Odey is confident of winning the ultimate prize and shares some advice.
You have to see the future of the children from the classroom. And I always believe in the saying that I touch the future I teach. There's something we call relational teaching. You see, when you are teaching a child who loves you, then there's a possibility that the child will love what you are teaching. If the child doesn't like you, the teacher, he might not be able to like the subject that you are teaching. So they should embrace their case and make them their own.
The Global Teacher Prize is an annual $1 million award initiated by the Vaki Foundation with headquarters in the United Kingdom. Yaira Lawe, GBC News, Accra.
The Veteran Administration has been tasked to intensify its public education to sensitize Ghanaians to appreciate the sacrifices made by veterans in sustaining global peace. At the launch of the 2021 Poppy Appeal Fund by the Veteran Administration Ghana VAC in Accra, it came up that lack of public education on the contribution of the veterans to world peace accounts for the inadequate funds realized annually. That Deputy Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Mr. Obi Amwa, has therefore appealed to all MMDCEs in the country to purchase at least 1,000 Ghana cedis of the Poppy as their support.
The 11th of November is celebrated annually to honor the veterans of the armed forces who lost their lives in the course of duty during World War I
As part of activities commemorating this year's event, the umbrella body of veterans, the Veterans Association Ghana, has launched a poppy appeal to raise financial and social support for Ghanaian soldiers who lost their lives. The event attracted high-profile dignitaries from government, the diplomatic corps, and the security services. Whilst expressing worry over the loss of significance in wearing the poppy, the Deputy Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Mr. Obi Amwa, called on the Veteran Association to find innovative ways raising funds for the veterans. He said MMDCs can be of great help in raising funds for the veterans.
I wish to pledge our ministry's support of 10,000 Ghana cedis to the appeal. In addition, we are making a special appeal to all metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies to buy at least 1,000 Ghana cedis each of the poppies as their contribution towards this stable cause. And indeed, there are 261 of these metros, municipalities and districts.
The Executive Director of Veterans Association of Ghana, Captain Retired Edmond Dia, outlined projects the proceeds from the poppy will be used for.
This year, money realized will be mainly used to expand the military clinic at the Amasaman Legion Village into a polyclinic, which would cater for the health needs of the teeming veterans.
The event was held in Accra.
President Akufo-Addo has adored a new sanitation campaign to rid the capital of filth. Dubbed Operation Clean Your Frontage, it will ensure that government institutions, the corporate sector, landlords, tenants, shop owners and the people of Accra in general clean and green the frontage of their buildings regularly. The president urged the people of Accra to support this drive by changing their attitude towards the environment.
The Operation Clean Your Frontage is part of the broader initiative of the Let's Make Accra Work, outdoored by the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Mr. Henry Quartey. The campaign will ensure that occupants and owners of all households or buildings will be responsible for the cleaning of the frontage of their buildings. This will involve government institutions, corporate institutions, market women, drivers and everyone in Accra to make the city the cleanest in West Africa. To make the campaign effective, bylaws have been enacted by the various metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies within the region to ensure that environmental health officers regularly inspect the frontage of premises to enforce these regulations. The initiative will involve all the private sector companies in managing waste in the country. The executive chairman of Jospon Group of Companies, Mr. Joseph Siao Ejepong, said the private sector will ensure that the campaign is successful.
We humbly pledge our full support by providing our vehicles, our tricycles, about 1,000 tricycles. So ESPA, Koniwas and Zoomlaw in partnership provide logistics. And Your Excellency, I humbly want to pledge that we're going to make available 100,000 dustbins, 100,000 dustbins available to support the Operation Clean Your Frontage so that citizenry will get dustbins in placing in front of their houses to discharge the waste.
The Greater Accra Regional Minister, Mr. Henry Quartey, said the responsibility of the campaign lies on the shoulder of all in Accra. He has new measures to make Accra work.
Rubbish collection in Accra is going digital. We have established, or rather we will establish call centers with 3 toll lines to receive calls, complaints from sanitation informants. Indeed, we are engaging the Attorney General to find a way to include community services and the sentencing regime to ensure that we do not congest the courts with sanitation issues. We are making concerted efforts to green and to beautify Accra. The Regional Coordinating Council is partnering Messrs. Mullen Law and Jandel Parks and Gardens and the Regional Coordinating Council for the greening and beautification of open and public spaces within the city.
The president, Nana Akufo-Addo, said the Operation Clean Your Frontage is a critical component in the drive to make Accra work. He said Accra cannot afford to fail on this.
A challenge which can only be overcome not just by the logistics and the bylaws and the rules of engagement, but also by a change in our attitude and behavior.
A 60-member task force city response team to lead the charge is formally in place. In addition, 3,500 youth will be recruited to support the agenda. Also, 58 compactors, sanitation trucks, tricycles and transfer stations will be established in the various assemblies to expedite waste disposal. All these in a bid to make the campaign a success.
The Gamanche King Takite Kuchuru II has appealed to President Akufo-Addo to begin the process to change the name of the Greater Accra region to Ga Dangbe region. He believes this will reflect the true identity of the Ga Dangbe people. He was interacting with the president, who paid a courtesy call on him at his palace as part his Greater Accra regional tour.
Of the President Nana Akufo-Addo's Greater Accra Regional Tour started at the Traditional Council at North Kaneshie in the Okaikwe South constituency. It was a courtesy call on the Gamanche King Takite Kuchuru II at his palace. The Greater Accra Regional Minister, Mr. Henry Korte, outlined his vision for the Greater Accra region, including the agenda of making Accra work. The Gamanche Nite Kuchuru pledged to work with the government to promote peace, to deal with all chieftaincy disputes in the region and promote the development of the Greater Accra region. He appealed to the president to consider renaming the Greater Accra region to Ga Dangbe region.
I'm sure that you are mindful of our desire to change the name of the Greater Accra region to the Ga Dangbe region. This is part of the effort towards unification and consolidation of the Ga state. Your assistance in this regard will be appreciated by us.
President Akufo-Addo was happy for the smooth installation of King Takite Kuchuru II. He assured that he would do the necessary consultation on the proposed renaming of the Greater Accra region.
For Greater Accra name to be changed to Ga Dangbe, with respect, that one is not your responsibility, it is my responsibility. I will consult my cabinet and the Council of State, Mobakwe, but I cannot commit myself to that. And you cannot do it without...
Nana Akufo-Addo said the Education Ministry will post Ga teachers to the Greater Accra region to teach the Ga language.
You're watching News Hour right here on GTV and on GDC News. We'll be right back after this. Don't go away.